Good evening. It is time for part 9 of 12 Times Peter Had Homework. This lovely edition of Bad Lighting, Bad Stories. Part 9 is called Bruce.
Peter, Bruce understands, is a kid. As if it weren't obvious from the way that his voice is pitched so high, his movements are so quick and fluid, yet jittery all at the same time, and the way his head bobs when he listens to music and he still chews on his lip when he's thinking, as though that's not an immediate tell. He's too young, Bruce understands, to know that tells are bad. And the way that he still laughs as though he hasn't a care in the world. He's so innocent that it's almost weird how he talks a little bit like Tony. Not the slightest sprig of fear in that big guy, not because he can handle him, but just because he's oh so blindly trusts Bruce, and yet is so obviously not none of Tony's jaded eyes and forced smiles. Except sometimes, Bruce kind of forgets that Peter's a kid, because this kid is an absolute genius and he adores science, and hey, Bruce adores science, so they end up together so often. Quite quiet afternoons where Bruce decides to look through a microscope, just for fun, of course, and he tucks his pens in his shoes and puts messily scrawled in notebooks on the table and chemicals in the air, and the kid wanders in and fiddles a little bit, too, dumping random things in each other and scribbling things down, running his hands through his hair as he chews on the end of that stub he calls a pencil. Often, more times than not, Peter will watch him, curious and honest, and not the least bit subtle, all stiff movements and awestruck eyes filled with wonder as Bruce explains what he's doing. Sometimes Peter asks questions, but most times he understands that Bruce would rather not talk, so he fills the air with his own chatter, mostly for himself, but a lot of the time, when he knows that there's someone listening to him prattle, he'll talk to Bruce. It's little things, like how he likes cheese on his burritos, but he knows that dairy's bad for him. How he very proudly stopped a mugging and comparing the different therapists for rape victims that he saves, but is always sad that he can't do more for people than maybe a therapist's name in a gift basket. Bruce reassures him that he's doing okay, and Peter will offer him a bright, soft smile as he sighs. I know, the little, but it's not enough, implied, and making Bruce a bit angry, but he knows that Peter is a stupid, naive, pure, and kind idiot who just wants to help and help until there's nothing more he can do and still continue to anyways. So he just continues to say it in hopes that it will one day click that it's more than enough what Peter's doing. Aren't you supposed to be doing your homework? Bruce asked Riley as Peter expertly wove his way through the mess that Tony calls their lab, and Peter's disgusted expression was more than suffice of an answer. It's chemistry, he replied with a wave of his hand, as though that was all the answer Bruce needed. And he supposed it was. Peter was a chemistry genius, and he could probably pass that with his eyes closed. You should still be doing it, Bruce rolled his eyes. Peter wrinkled his nose. Later, he promised, before frowning at Bruce's sweater. How did you get all the rhinestones out? Magic, Bruce replied dryly. The unpleasant reminder still clear in his memory. Why did you and Clint deem it necessary to make all of my sweaters sparkly purple again? His and everyone else's. Peter smiled unrepentantly. It's Clint's favorite color, he replied innocently, and Bruce groaned. Of course it is, he muttered sourly. I think that it rather suits you, Peter added, only narrowly dodging Bruce's light-hearted swipe. Really brings out your eyes, you know? You don't think I'm pretty enough without them? Bruce dipped into Tony's flavor of humor and it pulled a laugh out of Peter. You're beautiful, Peter agreed, with as straight of a face as he can muster, which wasn't very serious at all. Bruce laughed at him. Do your chemistry homework. Fine, Peter smiled brightly at him. You sound like a dad. Take that back, you brat. Peter, Bruce knows, is a kid. More than a kid. He's a total brat, and Bruce is going to pound him into the next week for daring to say that.
I liked the continuity carryover with the bedazzling.
Yeah.
It's good. It's nice to see these stories tying together.
They all interconnect.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We still have a few more chapters. 3 more, and I'll see you tomorrow.